Hello everyone, welcome back to another CWL video, guys, breaking down the 12 cities, organizations, and teams that we know so far for those 12 cities, most of which we do know as of right now, at least their investment groups, and for a lot of these teams out there, we know who exactly will be taking control and what they could be doing for the future. That's the giant question. Some breaking news out there. This video is actually pre-recorded, but as of today, me recording this, we already had our first player announced, and I'm sure by the time you guys watch this, multiple players have been announced, which I will break down very soon. Along with that, other information about Call of Duty Modern Warfare is steadily releasing, and I couldn't be more excited. So here is so far the teams and organizations we know that are tied to the 12 cities we know about for the CWL Franchise League next year. And why not start with one of the, I guess, previously hyped up rosters? That's going to be Optic going to LA. They will be actually run by the Immortals Gaming Club. If you guys are not aware of this, they do already have their own Overwatch team. Alongside that, the LCS spot formerly of Optic as well. They are financially backed and unfortunately enough not going to be backed up by a lot of the former Optic members that we came to know and love, that being TJ and Dashy, probably the only probable prospects to actually go there that we know of as of right now, and to relocate possibly all the way to Los Angeles. They are your first of two LA teams, and the giant question I have for a lot of you former Optic fans out there, will you follow some of the Optic guys and cheer for LA Optic? LA Optic will be confirmed the last esports roster ever to have the name Optic inside of it, as the official Optic Gaming has now been terminated. As sad as it is to say, LA Optic is the first of our 12 cities. They are financially backed, and I cannot wait to see how they do things, because we have an Optic name underneath the Immortals brand. And the second supposedly final LA spot will go to Cronky Sports. They do own a lot of traditional sports franchises out there, Arsenal Football Club being one of them. They also do own the LA Gladiators, though, all ran by Stan Kroenke, who has not given swell reviews around the board, especially from that Arsenal Football Club. Yes, who would have guessed this guy is not probably looked at in the best of light, so I'm very excited to see how they actually do things with their brand new CWL franchise spot, and hopefully run it a bit better and also change the logo up. But yeah, supposedly going to be our second and also last LA team. Gen G is backed out. FaZe Clan apparently avoiding it altogether, or so we think as of right now, and so our potential last LA team, at least for now, along with 100 Thieves being out, will be Cronky Sports. Best of luck to them, and best of luck to Stan. And I'm sure you guys will know these next three teams, one of them being LG. They were our most recent announcements. They'll be taking the Seattle spot, and surprise, surprise, yes, they are also owned by a big titan out there in the traditional sports scene. That's going to be the NHL team that owns the Vancouver Canucks, also does own their, of course, Overwatch team, Vancouver Titans. They now take the CWL spot for Seattle. That's actually going to be an LG spot. The Acalina Group is a parent company for them as well. Very excited to see where they go, because they've actually dropped out of at least CSGO to pursue these seemingly franchise spots, dropping their entire CSGO roster. I presume to put that funding towards potentially paying for a COD roster. The spot itself is a bit more expensive, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. Illuminati Gaming, though, will remain inside Call of Duty, and so besides that, I have to be pretty excited for them. Alongside that, guys, though, also announced in a bit of a surprise was the London spot taken by Rogue and their parent company Rec Global, which takes it directly away from Cloud9, which we presume to be was probably the best city they could go in, because they also own the London Spitfire. So Rogue, we presume as well, or I speculate, is trying to back up their European side of operations. They also have an LEC spot in the League of Legends Franchise League, so maybe this tries to attribute to that. Rogue sneak through under London, and that kind of counts out Cloud9 for future aspirations, at least for now, for the first season of CWL, and we'll see how well they can do. And then very lastly, I would say also most importantly of the most recent announcements, that being NRG taking a bit of a surprise shot here with the Chicago spot. I think most importantly, as you guys are very well aware, LA Optic will lose a lot of their former Optic guys along with Hector. Hector will now be joining NRG as their co-CEO, and that's why I really cannot be more excited. He goes back home to a town of Chicago, brings with him an overwhelmingly large fan base, and NRG all of a sudden is one of the fastest growing North American organizations, and rightfully so. So I'm very, very excited to see, because rumors do say Scumpy alongside Formal could also be joining that team, and along with that, I'm sure you guys have heard heard me say or other people say, there are a ton of former Optic members already a part of the NRG family, former CSGO guys, former potentially Call of Duty guys in the future, their Gears of War roster, so on and so forth. Hector is going home to a second home. He leaves behind Optic, he joins NRG, and they could be the next big thing. Now, speaking of big things out there, the state of Texas will be dominated by one team so far and one team only, that being Hastro's Envy in the city of Dallas. Super excited for this guy, obviously a staple when it comes to the Call of Duty scene. They also have multiple teams themselves, are pretty spread, wide, and in the state of Texas, they own it. We don't have complexity, we don't have other Lee Zyban, the Houston Outlaws, apparently not announced quite yet for CWL. As of right now, he is the single Texas city, and it will be run by Envy, another staple in Call of Duty, and well-deserved. Again, excited to see what kind of roster they do pull, as rumors do say he will want every single one of his players located in Dallas. And next on the list, we do have Misfits, this list of 12 so far that make total sense locational based on why they chose the spot they did. They take the Florida spot, and that's because they also own the Florida Mayhem. So very cool to see Misfits kind of branching out as well. They themselves also have an LEC team, also an Overwatch League team, and now a CWL team. One of the, again, few teams on this list to not only choose a city that makes a lot of sense. I thought Cloud9 had the option. A few others we'll talk about in a second also chose some great locations, but they also have those three franchise teams, which only a few teams on this list, like that of Optic and Misfits, actually do hold 3 franchise spots. So Misfits hitting hard, and we'll see how they can actually hit on Florida. That was terrible. You know what? Next up. And the next up, guys, we the New York spot. Actually pretty quiet. Announced very early on. Have not heard, I guess I could say, too much from them. A few teams have been much quieter than them. Owned by Sterling VC. Along with them, they also own the New York Excelsior. So again, location based. It makes sense. Trying to attract that local New York crowd. And we'll see what we can actually get from them. Maybe a rumor of Doug Sensor Martin being offered a sub spot. It would make perfect sense for New York to be one of his options to actually join. Can he work his way up to a primary role is a topic of large debate I will not get into right now. Now, a team I am very curious about, that's going to be one owned by Wise Ventures and Gary V. The Minnesota spot now belongs to them, and very lacking in esports experience. I'm sure they know just about as much as I do, but when it comes to compared to a lot of organizations and parent companies out there, they are certainly a bit lacking, and they choose a Midwest city, which I'm very proud of. From the Midwest myself, super excited where a guy like Gary V can, put his money where his mouth is and show up and actually pull in some great people. So far, they've already pulled in former Optic Midnight to actually run some sort of operations over there or be close to the team. I am super excited to see where the Chicago, Minnesota, and the Midwest cities do go with Call of Duty franchising. Toronto will be taken over by Splice and Overactive Media guys. They also own the Toronto Defiance, so that does make a bit of sense to go towards the Canadian side of things. Along with them, Paris, also ran by Contact Gaming. They also own the Paris Eternal. So I'm really eating my own words here. It does seem, smartfully so, or rightfully so, a lot of these organizations and parent companies did choose teams based in cities they already own their Overwatch corresponding team in. And then very lastly, guys, on this list so far of teams that we do have announced, and hopefully more coming soon, although we'll have to wait and see if 16 is the true number or if 12 will be, because at this point, who knows, right? Atlanta will be chosen as well for Atlanta Call of Duty. They also already own the Atlanta Reign. Atlanta Esports is what runs them over there. So our last 4 of the 5, I think, actually chose some great locations. I didn't really talk too much about those last 4 of the 5 because we don't know too much about those parent companies besides that they operate now with a CWL spot and an Overwatch League spot. Besides that, they're not an Optic, they're not a Misfits, they're not teams I really know too much about. Either way, I'm super excited about all of these teams and companies actually joining Call of Duty. The giant question is now, which players will fill their roles on all of these rosters, and will these rosters extend from 12 to 16 teams? We have no idea, but when they do, or if they do, I will break it down here first at Esports Talk. As always, I hope you guys all enjoy. More Call of Duty news is probably coming later today, if not tomorrow, and all week long. Thank you guys for staying tuned. I'll see you back here sometime soon. Take care, okay? All right? See ya.